Hello, habari, hujambo. Welcome and thank you for joining us on today's episode. This is your go-to educational podcast for project management, brought to you in partnership with the Tanzania Institute of Accountants. And I am your host, Dr. Henry. And today we are diving deep into one of the most critical topics in business, operations, and project management, and that is performance indicators, more specifically key performance indicators, commonly referred to as KPIs. Whether you're a student, a practicing project manager, or simply someone who wants to understand how organizations measure success, this episode is for you. Today's episode is structured around Unit 5 of our project management curriculum, and we will be covering four major areas. The first one is we will define and identify what performance indicators are. Second, we will examine the key characteristic that makes a good performance indicator. Third, we will explore the major types of key performance indicators used in project management. And fourth, we will unpack a powerful planning and evaluation tool known as the results chain. This is going to be a rich and detailed discussions, so I encourage you to take notes, pause, and reflect as we go through each sections. Let us get started. Let us begin with the foundation. What are performance indicators? Key performance indicators, or KPIs, in project management are specific measurement tools used to indicate how well teams are achieving specific goals. They are not vague aspirations or general targets. They are concrete, agreed upon benchmarks that tell us with precision whether a project is on track. KPIs are not decided in the middle of a project nor after it has ended. They are generally agreed upon early in the project, right at the planning stage. This is because KPI reflect the organization, central concept, and purpose for the project. They also solidify project responsibility across all administrative divisions. KPIs also provide a framework of data collection. They tell us what data need what data we need to collect, how often and why, so that we can track the success of a project in a structured and consistent manner. So now, tujiulize swali moja. Let's ask ourselves one question. What makes a good KPI? Okay. The answer here, we have to follow a framework called SMART, SMART. What SMART framework is? Let's let's proceed. Tuendelee. Choosing which KPIs to track is only the first step. The next step is defining those KPI which clearly and focusing using SMART framework. So a good KPI must be specific. What does specific here we mean? We mean that it must clearly describe what is being measured with no room for ambiguity. Also, a good KPI must be measurable. It means it must be possible to quantify the results through numbers, percentages, or clearly defined qualitative measures. Also, it must be attainable. The target must be realistic given the available resources and capacity. Also, it must be realistic. It means it should reflect what the project can actually achieve. Also, a good key performance indicator must have a time bound. What does time bound means? It means every KPI must have a deadline or time frame. Remember, muhimu sana, your KPIs should be agreed upon by all involved parties before a project begins, and then continuously measured and monitored throughout the project lifecycle as a key decision-making tool. So, your KPI lazima zikubaliwe na watu wote ambao wanahusika katika huo mradi katika hatua za mwanzo kabisa. Now let's move to the characteristics of performance indicators. A good performance indicator must meet 11 key characteristics. Think of this as a quality checklist for every KPI you design or use. The first one is pressures. Can be measured clearly by quantitative or qualitative data. Vague indicators that cannot be clearly measured have no place in project management. The second one is appropriate. Must measure changes directly brought about by the project, not unrealistic or not unrelated external factors. The third characteristic of a key performance indicator is meaningful. Must represent information that is important and valuable to all stakeholders, including management, funders, clients, and the beneficiaries, and all other parties that are being involved in the project. The fourth characteristic is it must be relevant. Must reflect the intervention's intended activities, outputs, and outcomes. The fifth characteristic is direct. Must closely and directly measure the intended change, no long chains of interference. The sixth one is objective. Must have a clear operational definitions. Two people using the same KPI should arrive at the same measurement. The seventh is reliable. Must produce consistent results across different time periods and different data collectors. The eighth characteristic of KPI is useful. What do we mean when you say useful? Must serve as a practical purpose, used for program improvement and to demonstrate the outcome to stakeholders. The ninth characteristic of a KPI is it must be adequate. What do we mean? We mean that it must be capable of measuring change over time and showing progress toward performance goals. The 10th one is understandable, must be easy to comprehend and interpret by the entire team and stakeholders. Iwe rahisi kueleweka na kutafsirika na watu wote ambao wanahusika katika mradi huu. 11th one is practical and feasible. The data required must not be excessively burdensome to collect and must be reasonable in terms of cost, frequency, and timeline. So these are the 11 characteristics of the key performance indicators. So when designing a KPI for a project, review each one against these checklists. So take these 11 characteristics as your checklist. An indicator that fails to meet several of these standards should be revised or replaced by another KPI in your project. Now we are moving to see types of performance indicators. There are 5 main categories of key performance indicators, each measuring different dimensions of project performance. So let us work through them one by one. Tutapitia moja baada ya nyingine. Type 1 is a timeline KPI. This is one of the most precious resources in any project. Timelines, KPI, help us understand whether the project is progressing according to the schedule. Je, mradi unaendelea kulingana na ratiba ambayo imepangwa ambayo ilikuwa imewekwa mwanzoni kabisa. So, cycle time, the amount of time needed to complete a specific task or activity especially used for repeated tasking. On-time completion percentage measures whether tasks are being completed by the deadlines. A low percentage is a clear warning signal. Time spent, it tracks the actual time invested in the project by all team members, but also it is planned hours versus time spent. It compares estimated time against actual time used. Significant gap indicate flawed resource planning. Type 2 is a budget KPIs. Financial accountability is at the heart of every project. Budget KPIs ensures spending remains aligned with financial plans. Inahakikisha matumizi yanaendana na budget iliyopangwa. So nini kinachofanyika? What have been done here in budgeted KPI? Here, what they check budget variance, that measure the difference between the actual and the projected budget. It checks for the line items in budget. It provides a detailed breakdown of individual expenditures across a project. But also it checks the number of budget iterations. It tracks how many budget versions were produced before final approval. But also it checks for planned value. It represents the estimated cost of what still needs to be completed at any given project stage. Type 3 of KPI is quality KPI. The quality KPI ensures project output meet required standard and satisfy those they are meant to serve, like customer satisfaction and loyalty. It measures whether beneficiaries are satisfied and would engage with similar project again. It also checks for customer complaints, track negative feedback from those affected by the project, including internal departments. It checks for the employee churn rate, measures the percentage of team members who have left during the project period. High turnover slow project and increases cost. Type 4 is effective KPIs. Effectiveness KPI measures how well a project is achieving its intended results and the milestone. So here on effectiveness KPI, what are being checked? Here, these are the things which we check here. Milestone completed on time with the sign off. Here, it tracks whether key project stages are completed on schedule and formally approved. Number of returns for capital projects tracks the return rate of procured parts or materials. Also, training and research needed measures time and resources spent preparing the team before project work can begin. Number of cancelled projects tracks how many projects were paused or terminated before completion. Also, it checks for number of change requests, measure how frequently clients request changes to the established scope and to the established. So let me repeat here. It also checks for the number of change requests, measure how frequently client request changes to the established scope of work. The type 5 of KPI is known as return on investment, or these are the bonus KPI. Return on investment ties all other KPI categories together. It measures the financial worth of a project in relation to its cost. Return on investment is especially important during project initiation when decisions makers are evaluating whether to proceed and when comparing the relative value of competing project proposals. Now let's move to another section of our unit, and this section is called the result chain. What is a result chain? A result chain is a simplified but powerful diagram that maps out the logical relationship between the resources invested in a project, the activities that take place, and the sequence of changes that result all the way through to the final impact. It is built around a series of causal statements that follow an if, then logic. If we invest these resources and carry out these activities, then we will achieve this outcome, and then we will realize this broader impact. A results chain has three basic components. These are a strategy, expected outcome, and desired impact. A strategy here it sees the actions the project will take, and on expected outcomes here it observes the changes that results from the strategy. And here on desired impact, here is about the ultimate goals at the societal level. Why are result chains useful? Result chains serve three key purposes: discussions and refine the theory of change, making implicit assumptions about how strategies lead to outcome explicitly, visible, and testable. Measures effectiveness, providing a structured set of results against which effective can be set and evaluated. Also enable cross-site learning, providing a shared framework for comparing results across different project sites. But result chain has got 6 stages. So now we are going to see the 6 stages of a result chain. So the results chain is typically drawn as a series of 6 boxes, each representing a different stage in the causal sequence. Stage 1 is input. The resources invested at the start: funding, staff, vehicles, equipment, and knowledge, easily monitored through accounting and audit procedures. Stage 2 is activities. What the project does, the interventions, training sessions, and so you see, on as I said, on stage 2 on activities, what the project does, the interventions, training sessions, and the campaigns monitored through standard record keeping. Stage 3 is output, anything the project makes, does, or purchase as a direct result of its input and activities. It's generally straightforward to monitor. Stage 4 is immediate outcome. Here it says on the direct behaviors change by stakeholders who are directly affected by output. For example, trendy farmer who begin applying new agricultural practice in their field. Stage 5 is medium term outcome. Downstream behavior change by people with little or no direct involvement in the project, who are indirectly affected by it, like measuring those outcomes can be challenging. Stage 6 is impact. Societal level is impact. Here we see the societal level changes that eventually result from the project. These take the longest time to materialize and include health, wealth, well-being, and compliance with the legal or political commitment. So, more important here is measuring impact is difficult. Many organizations incorrectly label immediate outcome as impact simply because they are easier to measure. A disciplined result chain clearly distinguish between what has already been achieved and what is still aspirational. So this is the end of our unity. So I insist in you to listen again and again to this podcast, taking note and doing reflection. And you can compare this and you can use these key performance indicators technique and you can compare to the project which you are writing, or maybe if you have a plan to do a project in the future. So I believe now it's my faith that you will be able to develop the smart key performance indicators which are measurable, attainable, specific, temporary, and having different quality characteristics. Asante sana, endelea kunisikiliza and we will proceed. Don't hesitate to contact me when you have a question on any part of the topic.